When Dr. Margaret Chen stood up at the NYU Music and Psychology Conference and called Prince a calculated manipulator of human emotions, the small man in the back row wearing a purple turtleneck didn't flinch. He just listened. For 47 minutes she dissected his music like a lab specimen. He uses chord progressions scientifically designed to trigger tears. It's not art. It's emotional exploitation. Then, during Q&A, that quiet man in the back raised his hand. "I have a question for Dr. Chen." His voice was soft, but filled the auditorium. The moderator handed him the microphone. "When did your daughter stop talking to you?" The room went silent. Dr. Chen's face went white, because nobody knew about her daughter. Nobody except the man who'd just read her entire life in the anger behind her words. What happened in the next 12 minutes made a room of 400 academics weep and transformed a career built on criticism into a journey of healing. NYU, Steinhardt School, Music and Psychology. Conference, Thursday afternoon, April 18th, 2013, 2 p.m. The Neuroscience of Emotional Response in Popular Music, Annual Academic Conference, 400 attendees, professors, grad students, researchers. The panel, Dr. Margaret Chen, 47, clinical psychologist, NYU professor, published author. Dr. Robert Mills, neuroscientist, UCLA. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, music theory, Juilliard, moderator. Dr. Stephen Berkowitz, NYU conference chair. Dr. Chen's presentation, The Manipulation of Emotion in Popular Music, a Case Study of Prince. Her thesis, Popular musicians use psychological techniques to artificially trigger emotional responses. This is manipulation, not authentic artistic expression. Dr. Chen, confident academic voice. Prince Rogers Nelson understands human psychology better than most therapists, but he uses this knowledge not to heal, but to extract emotional responses for commercial gain. PowerPoint slides. Musical notation showing chord progressions, fMRI. Scans showing brain activity during Prince songs. Charts comparing emotional response versus commercial success. His music doesn't create genuine emotion. It manipulates pre-existing trauma. The tears you cry during Purple Rain aren't catharsis. They're manipulation. You've been psychologically triggered. Clinical language. Parasympathetic activation. Limbic system exploitation. Calculated emotional extraction. Purple Rain is designed to make people cry. When doves cry exploits abandonment anxiety. Sometimes it snows in April preys on grief. The audience mostly nodded along. Academics loved critical analysis. Some were uncomfortable. Music lovers feeling attacked. One man in the back row, sitting alone, small, purple turtleneck, jeans, glasses, taking notes quietly. Nobody recognized him. Dr. Chen's conclusion. We must distinguish between art that expresses emotion and art that exploits it. Prince is the latter. A brilliant psychologist, yes, but an emotional manipulator nonetheless. His legacy should be examined not just musically, but ethically. Applause, polite, academic. 47 minutes total. 3:15 p.m. Q&A began. Several questions from the audience. How do you differentiate manipulation from effective artistry? Couldn't all music be considered manipulative by this definition? Dr. Chen answered confidently. Dismissively. Then, the small man in purple turtleneck raised his hand. Moderator. Yes, gentleman in the back? The man stood, still in shadow, far from stage. I have a question for Dr. Chen. His voice, quiet but resonant, filled the auditorium naturally. Some people turned to look, something familiar about it. Dr. Chen. Yes? Your paper is very thorough. You clearly understand music theory and psychology. Dr. Chen, slightly pleased. Thank you. But I'm curious about something you didn't mention. What's that? When did your daughter stop talking to you? The room went dead silent. Dr. Chen's face drained of color. Excuse me? The man, gentle but direct. You spent 47 minutes talking about how music manipulates emotion, but you never mentioned why. That bothers you so much. You never mentioned that you're angry, not at me, not at music. At yourself, Dr. Chen, voice shaking. I don't know what you're talking about. And frankly, that's inappropriate. 3 years ago. That's when she stopped calling, right? Audience members uncomfortable now. Whispering. Moderator. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to... The man, ignoring moderator, focused on Dr. Chen. You wrote a book, The Myth of Emotional Intelligence, 2011. In it, you argued that emotions are overrated, that logic and reason should guide human decisions. Your daughter read it. She was 19, a music student, and she stopped talking to you because you told her that her passion, music, was just neurological manipulation. Dr. Chen was visibly trembling. Someone in audience whispered, "How does he know this?" The man started walking down the aisle toward the stage. As he got closer, stage lights hit his face. People started to recognize him. Gasps rippled through the auditorium. Graduate student whispered, "Oh my God, that's Prince." Dr. Chen saw him clearly now for the first time. Her knees almost buckled. The subject of her entire presentation was walking toward her, and he'd just exposed her deepest wound in front of 400 people. Prince reached the stage, climbed the stairs, stood facing Dr. Chen. No anger in his eyes, just understanding. Into microphone, to entire room. Dr. Chen's research is correct. I do use chord progressions that trigger emotional responses. I do understand psychology, but she's wrong about why. Turned to her directly. May I answer your paper? Publicly? Dr. Chen couldn't speak, just nodded. Prince to the audience, but really to Dr. Chen. I'm going to tell you a story. 1985. Purple Rain tour. After a show in Detroit, a woman came backstage, crying, desperate to see me. Security almost didn't let her in. She said, "My son died 3 months ago. Car accident. He was 16. I haven't cried since the funeral. I was, frozen. Tonight, during Purple Rain, I finally cried, for the first time in 3 months, and it felt like I could breathe again." She thanked me and left. Prince paused, looked at Dr. Chen. You would say I manipulated her emotions, triggered a parasympathetic response through calculated chord progressions, and you'd be right. Every note is designed to make you feel, but she needed to cry. Her body was holding that grief like poison. Music gave her permission to release it. That's not manipulation, that's healing. Dr. Chen, tears forming. Prince continued. You asked when your daughter stopped talking to you. I'll tell you exactly when. October 2011. She was at Juilliard, freshman year, first semester, struggling with a composition project. It was due in 3 days. She'd been working on it for weeks. Nothing was working. She called you at 11:47 p.m., crying. Said she didn't know if she was good enough, if her music mattered, if she belonged there, and you, because you love her, because you wanted to protect her from disappointment. You said something you thought was helpful. You said, Michelle, maybe you should reconsider this path. Music isn't practical. It's just emotional manipulation anyway. You could do something real, something that helps people, like psychology. Dr. Chen's hand covered her mouth, shaking her head. No. She hung up. You called back. She didn't answer. You called again the next morning. Nothing. You texted. Nothing. 3 years. Complete silence. You wrote it off as teenage rebellion, but it wasn't. It was betrayal. You told her the thing she loved most in the world, the thing that made her feel alive, was fake. Dr. Chen was openly crying now. How do you know all this? Prince, gently. Because she came to Paisley Park 6 months ago, October 2012, knocked on the gate at 2 a.m. Security almost turned her away. She was sobbing, said she'd quit Juilliard, said she didn't know if she could still make music. Said her mother, a psychologist, had convinced her that emotions were weakness. I let her in. We talked for 4 hours. She played me what she'd been working on. It was brilliant, raw, real, full of pain and beauty. I told her, "Your mother's wrong. Emotions aren't manipulation. They're the truth. And your music is the truth." She's been there ever since, working, learning, healing. She uses the name Michelle C. so you wouldn't find out. And last week she finished her first full symphony. She called it Reconciliation. Dr. Chen, barely able to speak. "Michelle, she's at Paisley Park? She's here. Today. In this auditorium." The audience gasped, everyone looking around. From the 3rd row, a young woman stood up. Michelle Chen, 22 years old, Asian American, looked like a younger version of Dr. Chen, wearing jeans and a black sweater, crying. "Hi, Mom." Dr. Chen collapsed into her chair. "Oh, my God, Michelle." Michelle walked down the aisle, climbed the stage stairs. Mother and daughter facing each other for the first time in 3 years. 400 people watching. Absolute silence, except for crying. Prince stepped back, giving them space. Dr. Chen, voice breaking. "I didn't mean I was trying to protect you. I thought," Michelle, "you told me my passion was manipulation. That what I feel when I create music isn't real. That I should do something real like you. I was wrong. I was so wrong. You've been at Paisley Park? For 6 months? He gave me a studio, instruments, time, and most importantly, he told me it was okay to feel things, that my emotions weren't weakness." Dr. Chen looked at Prince, then back at Michelle. I stopped crying after my father died, 15 years ago. I told myself emotions were weakness, that logic was strength, that feelings were neurological accidents we needed to overcome, and I pushed away the only person who could still make me feel. Prince, quietly, into microphone. "Dr. Chen, you said I manipulate emotions for commercial gain, but I've never sold Michelle's music, never made a penny from her work. I just gave her a space to create, because that's what someone did for me when I was young. The music room teacher who gave me a key after school, the session musicians who worked for free because they believed in a 17-year-old kid, the people who told me that what I felt was real. You're right that music triggers neurological responses, but those responses aren't fake. They're the realest thing we have. Your daughter's music makes people feel things, and you called that manipulation. But what you really meant was, I don't know how to feel things anymore, and it scares me that she does." Dr. Chen, sobbing. Yes, that's exactly what I meant." Prince, the final move. "Michelle, play her your symphony." Michelle, shocked. "What? Now?" "Now," Prince gestured to the piano on stage. "Steinway Grand, there for panel demonstrations." Michelle walked to the piano, sat, hands shaking, took a deep breath. Began to play. Original composition. Reconciliation. The first notes were tentative, quiet. Then they grew stronger, building. The music told a story without words. Anger in dissonant chords, grief in falling melodies, hope in rising arpeggios, heartbreaking and beautiful. Years of training, years of passion kept silent. 6 months of healing. The middle section shifted to minor key. The 3 years of silence coded into music, the phone call that ended everything. Then, slowly, resolution. Major key returning. Earned, like forgiveness that takes time. Dr. Chen watched her daughter play. Really watched her. And finally, after 15 years of not crying, Dr. Margaret Chen cried. Not just tears, sobbing. All the grief she'd locked away. All the emotion she'd called neurological manipulation, released. The entire auditorium was crying. When Michelle finished the final chord, she let it ring, let it fade into silence. Then she stood, walked to her mother. They embraced. First time in 3 years. Prince to the microphone, final words. "Dr. Chen, you asked if I manipulate emotions. Yes, I do." But I don't do it to people. I do it for people. Music gives us permission to feel things we're afraid to feel, to cry when we need to cry, to heal when we're broken. Your daughter's music just healed you, not through manipulation, through love. That's not psychology. That's art. 2 weeks later, Dr. Margaret Chen published a retraction. Academic paper, a revision, music as healing, not manipulation. Public apology to Prince, dedication to Michelle. Dr. Chen, interview. I spent my career trying to prove that emotions were neurological tricks. I was wrong. The emotions are the point. The neurology is just how we access them. 6 months later, November 2013. Michelle Chen's Symphony Reconciliation premiered at Carnegie Hall. Dr. Chen in front row. Prince attended quietly in balcony, as always. Standing ovation. Mother and daughter embraced on stage. Dr. Chen's new research focus, music therapy for grief counseling, collaborates with Paisley Park. The Chen-Prince Music Healing Initiative brings together clinical psychology and music for trauma treatment, published 3 papers on the therapeutic effects of musical emotional engagement. April 2016. Prince passed away. Dr. Chen spoke at memorial. Prince taught me that emotions aren't weakness. They're information, they're healing, they're connection. He didn't manipulate my emotions that day at NYU. He simply showed me it was safe to feel them again. And in doing so, he gave me back my daughter. I will spend the rest of my career honoring that. Gift, 2024. 10 years later. Michelle Chen, now 32, composer in residence at Juilliard, teaches the neuroscience of musical healing, co-taught with her mother, has written 7 symphonies: grief, joy, anger, love, fear, hope, gratitude. Juilliard classroom. Dr. Chen, now 58, teaching. Michelle beside her. Slide. Photo of Prince at NYU conference. Back row. Purple turtleneck. Dr. Chen to students. This man called me out in front of 400 people. Most humiliating moment of my career. Also the moment I started to heal. Student. What would you say to him now? Dr. Chen, smiling through tears. Thank you for manipulating my emotions. I needed it. Michelle walked to the piano, played softly. Purple Rain. Dr. Chen closed her eyes. Finally able to feel it. April 18th, 2013. NYU conference, 400 academics. Dr. Chen spent 47 minutes calling Prince an emotional manipulator. Prince asked one question. When did your daughter stop talking to you? Michelle was in the room. 3rd row, silent for 3 years. 1 piano performance. 1 embrace. 1 transformation. Because sometimes the truth sounds like an attack. Sometimes healing looks like confrontation. And sometimes the people we criticize most are mirrors showing us what we're afraid to face in ourselves. Prince didn't manipulate emotions. He gave us permission to feel them.